Yeah.
Yeah, I shared that.
Good stuff.
Boy,
Good stuff.
she really nailed it.
Yeah, she's funny.
Definitely. Let's take some super chats before we go on with the show. Michael Castillo. Finally, Donald Trump told Benjamin Netanyahu to go get his fucking shine box.
Shine box.
That's right.
Get your shine box. Don't you guys have a thing?
Well, that's
on our setup.
Yeah, we don't have the sound drops in here. We have some here. What do we have? You got a couple of these. What do you have here? You have these are the music. Got it. Okay.
I have a sound. I have a Stream Deck sound thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but you can do.
But it doesn't work as well as yours does because ours has to go through the soundboard and all this shit.
Well, if you go in, are you regularly going through StreamYard now, or you only do that
we don't
when you're on the road?
We only on the road, yeah.
Okay.
Michael Castillo says, "May I suggest you watch Tim Dillon on the roast of 2024?" All right. Kate says, "Do you think Trump sending out that social media message with the video of Jeffrey Sachs saying BB's a deep dark SOB was intentional or mistake?" Well, yeah, that we just talked about that.
Absolutely. Sending a signal.
Yeah. Jordan Brandt, thanks for the $49.99. That's a good one. Russ, we can give a cowbell for Jordan, right? There we go. I met you guys in Honolulu. Jimmy was interested in possibly talking to me as a guest about electric vehicles. I own a shop in Honolulu that specializes in EV. I can give an on-the-ground perspective you're not hearing anywhere else. Voltec Hybrid.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, how do I send an email to info at Jimmy Dore, whatever that is, and then put in the subject line, electric vehicle met you in Honolulu. How about that?
There you go. Beautiful.
Yeah, I remember that. I was a little. I got a little tipsy at the end of the night there.
That's right. You had a gig out there too. It wasn't just a vacation.
Yeah, that
comedy show. Yeah.
I met. Yeah, we did 100 meet and greets. It was.
Wow. That's right. You're saying at the beginning. Russ, you old Gen X Bastich. I remember Pix on Channel 11. Haha. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you remember that?
Michael says, Jimmy, I'm glad you and your family are all right due to the wildfires. Absolutely.
I feel lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet. Viva's Lori.
By the way, it's contact at jimmydoorecomedy.com.
Contact at Jimmy Dore. Okay, great. All right. So you got that. So Jordan Brandt, comedy at Jimmy Dore. Shit. I fucked it up. Well, what is it?
Jimmy Dore Comedy.
Contact at jimmydoorecomedy.com. That's right. Okay. Viva Luri. Biden tried hard on one thing. Jail January 6th. Trump banning Peter Navarro and Miles Guo. Never did he try to stop all violent conflicts in the world. That's right. Username. Thanks for the donation on Rumble. The only way to make Palestine a terrorist-free country would be to ensure that no Zionists ever step foot in the region again. Amen. Boom. Viva Luri. Trump has a moral obligation to stop all the killings in the world and investigate all the lawfare by the CCP-controlled Democrats like Garland and Wray. NG Hermit. I think Israel is going to kill Trump and pin it on Iran. Interesting. That would be a plot twist. Vienticus Prime. Israel, the faux brew nation, continuing the traditions of World War II Germany. Thank you. Viva Luri, just like people in North Korea and China actually hates communism the most secretly because for many, their family and relatives were tortured, targeted. Vienticus Prime, labels are misdirections. The strife in society is never anything other than the conflict between those that want freedom from others and those that want freedom over others. Never forget that. All right. Thank you very much. We'll take some more of these in just a few moments, but why don't we move on along with the rest of the show here? So Trump was not done winning. He's not tired of winning. Not yet. Still got more winning. ILA president, the International Longshoremen's Association, ILA president Harold Daggett credits President Donald Trump's support as key to helping his members secure greatest contracts. So if you remember, the longshoremen went on strike for a brief period in the run-up to November. That was the famous video where he said, I'll cripple you. And they threatened to basically
cut you open and show you all the black stuff you got inside your belly.
Exactly. The leader of the International Longshoremen's Association has a message to incoming President Donald J. Trump. This is from their own website, by the way, so this is their press release of sorts. You have proven yourself to be one of the best friends of working men and women in the United States. Harold J. Daggett, international president of the ILA, cites a face-to-face meeting he had with President-elect Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago in Florida on December 12, 2024, joined by his son and ILA executive vice president Dennis Daggett, as the chief reason the ILA was able to win protections against automation for his 85,000 members and negotiate a tentative master contract agreements.
Boy, I bet he had to learn how to fight growing up.
Yeah,
with that.
Dennis Daggett. Yeah, Denny Daggett. Yeah. You really. I mean, you name your kid Dennis when your last name is Daggett. I feel like if I named my kid Wally, Wally Weiss. Yeah, it's kind of tough. But
reporter at the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So if you remember, the first phase of the contract negotiation that they won was a wage increase, but the automation was up in the air. Well, apparently they were able to win protections against automation as part of the second phase of this deal. President Trump clearly demonstrated his unwavering support for our ILA union and longshore workers with his statement heard round the world, backing our position to protect American longshore jobs against the ravages of automated terminals, said ILA President Daggett. President Trump's bold stance helped prevent a second coast-wide strike at ports from Maine to Texas that would have occurred on January 15th, 2024, if a tentative agreement was not reached. So there you go. And we remember covering this back in October where we said there is a possibility for another strike in January because the automation part of this was unsettled after the first round of negotiations. So just like the ceasefire, you see a pattern. Right? When things were going to be a problem for Donald Trump on day one of his presidency, he made sure to nip it in the bud, right? Made sure it got settled. So whether it's sending someone to Israel or getting this strike settled here, he seemed to have done both. Sorry, go ahead.
So is that a miss? Is that a typo? 2024? Did they mean 2025?
Oh, they must have meant 2025. Yeah, they must have meant that. Yeah, good catch. Good catch.
Okay.
Yeah, because that would be today. And there was a second phase of negotiations that was empty. So, yes, that would have been 2025. At the mid-December meeting in Mar-a-Lago.
Fucking bonehead longshoreman, am I right?
Longshoreman, yeah.
Fucking bunch of Daggets.
There's a reason we ain't poets. Yeah. At the mid-December meeting in Mar-a-Lago, the two ILA leaders met for 2 hours with President-elect Trump and spelled out the cause for an impasse in negotiations with the ocean carriers represented by United States Maritime Alliance, USMX. In the presence of ILA President Harold Daggett and Executive Vice President Dennis Daggett, President Trump, man, they're really proud of those names, too. They say them all over.
Every time you say it, it makes me laugh.
And they say they repeat the full name every time. Usually in like newspapers, they'll say Mr. Daggett and this and that. In the presence of Harold Daggett and Dennis Daggett, President Trump spoke by telephone to USMX officials to express his support for the ILA. He then posted a powerful message on Truth Social announcing his support for the ILA. There's been a lot of discussion having to do with automation on United States docks, President Trump wrote. I've studied automation and know just about everything there is to know about it. The amount of money saved is nowhere near the distress, hurt, and harm it causes for American workers, in this case, our longshoremen. Foreign companies have made a fortune in the U.S. by giving them access to our markets. They shouldn't be looking for every last penny, knowing how many families are hurt. Wow, look at that. The ILA leader said his union now regards President Donald Trump as one of the greatest friends of organized labor and champion of the working men and women of this country. He's a hero to our ILA union and members, said the ILA leader. President Trump gets full credit for our successful tentative master contract agreement, said ILA President Daggett. So just like, I mean, obviously a less severe circumstance in ways, but just as... the Israel-Gaza war was going to cause him headaches if it was going on when he took office. A strike like this would have been a major headache too, and so he made sure he got it taken care of. And thankfully, he intervened on behalf of the workers, it seemed, to get the automation protections. As opposed to when Biden intervened, it was on behalf of management to crush the railroad.
Yeah, if it was up to Biden, he would just crush their strike and tell them, fuck you, go back to work. And, that's it. That's that. I mean, they still haven't cleaned up East Palestine or the water in Flint. I mean, for fuck's sake.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, this is the big question going forward. We've been speculating on this for years. I wrote a speculative article, I don't know, a couple of years ago, that really, if you're a progressive and you want to continue to work within the two-party system, you're probably better off trying to move the Republicans on economics than to stay within the Democrats and try to move them on culture. Because this is not the first time this happened. The bases of the two parties flipped in the 19th century. So it can happen again, because ultimately, if your base is working class people, you can't just do Reaganomics indefinitely. Ultimately, now those are your voters. Now you own those voters. So this is the question. How far does this extend? Are they going to support the Amazon workers? Are they going to put an anti-union maniac at the NLRB? So far, so good. The person that he picked was a pro-labor person, more pro-labor than anybody expected. And what the Democrats are now are very much what Republicans used to be. The professional managerial class used to be Republicans. If you were a doctor, if you were a dentist in 1960, you were probably a Republican. Now you're probably a Democrat. So, yeah, we could be seeing, we've already seen a political realignment. Is the Republican Party going to meet the moment and become a pro-labor party? Well, we'll see. I mean, Trump has done more for labor in the last few months than the Democrats have done in many years.
It comes down to let me play this for you.
Blue-collar Democrat, we will lose in Western PA.
Yep.
2, 3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin.
So that is the Democrats. That's the Democrats there just admitting that they're no longer the party of work. I don't know if could you hear that properly?
Yeah. Well, that's the famous.
Everybody knows that famous clip. Yeah, no, they hate working class people. They hate them. The reason they have focused so much hatred on the white working class is because you can't do it to black and brown people anymore. They hate workers. So they focus that it's workers in general. They just hate working class people, but they focus it on white working class people to make it seem like what they hate is racism. They don't hate it's not about racism. You don't like working people. You hate them. You see them all as Archie bunkers. They always have. This is how I always describe it. The Democratic Party today is Mike and Gloria. Come to power. There is very much Mike and Gloria's party. When Clinton came in, that
and it turns out Mike actually became the biggest shit lib in the world.
In general, they're all Archie bunkers. They're all Archie bunkers. Obviously, that's a cliche.
Class benefited people of color. And it benefited gay people, and it benefited trans.
Increasingly bizarre in their performative outrage around identity issues because they have nothing else to pretend to be left about.
You know, it's like that book I read by the she was, I think, Asian, and about the professional managerial class, and she was the one who made the point.
And Catherine Liu, yeah.
Yeah, Catherine Liu. I had her on the show. Oh, yeah, that's it. And she said that, the majority of poor people in America are white, and that if you help poor people, You're also going to help poor black people, and so this just focusing a race-based politics is a mistake, which was kind of what I was trying to tell. Not kind of, it's exactly what I was trying to tell Cornel West when he came on my show. That's a loser. If you want to go be a black activist, that's fine. But if you want to talk about, if you want to be a president and lead with white supremacy, you're calling most of the poor people in America white supremacists. That's how they hear it.
Right.
And they're not supreme. They don't feel supreme to anybody.
Right. It's because they abandoned the idea of really attacking the underpinnings of the economic system.
That's it.
If you're trying to be buddies with Wall Street, but you want to have the pose of being a left radical fighting injustice, where do you go with that? If you're not going to talk about class, you're not anti-management, you're not anti-capital, you're not even anti-billionaire. You literally put someone on stage at your convention to brag about how he's a real billionaire. This is how far you've gone from any economic theory of politics. Where do you go? Where do you go? It's got to be increasingly bizarre, out of touch, and arcane identitarian signaling, because otherwise, what would you talk about if you're a left with no economic theory?
That's right.
Please clap.
Please clap. All right. Stone Socialist says Drop Site News is reporting there is gift bag in the agreement that will support Israel restarting the fight if another attack happens and lifting sanctions on Israeli spyware. Like Pegasus, yeah, we got to some of that in the piece for sure. Absolutely. That's why I say, there's always the risk of another shoe dropping. You can never put anything past them. Labels are misdirections. Strife in society is never anything other than the conflict between those that want freedom from others and those that want freedom over others. Never forget that. Well said. Posmo, thanks for the donation. Adelson gave Trump and Republicans $500 million in 2016, so his wife gave $400 million less 8 years later in 2024. That's right, winning. Anti-Zionist Jew on X says Israel's a giant timeshare. Thoughts? Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah,
I would co-sign that. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you know what would be amazing now? Which I don't think it's going to happen because it didn't happen his first term, but if Trump went in and cleaned up the water in Flint, Michigan,
yeah, that'd be good.
I've wondered about that.
Why wouldn't he? Why would? What's stopping you from doing that? Why wouldn't you do that?
Yes, and East Palestine, which he actually didn't he visit there?
Yeah, he actually did
visit there, right? So.
Yeah.
Why not help out the people in East Palestine and help out?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get some water in the exactly. Send the Army Corps of Engineers. EO Shush, do you agree that the federal government should start returning stolen lands back to Native American tribes? We could start with burned down areas of L.A. County that belong to Gabrielino Tongva tribes. Yeah, I mean, why not? That's what I think. Rob MFR, we need to bring back diesel. So much more efficient than gas, and then put out a diesel hybrid. It'd be much cleaner than gas or electric. All right, Russell, go ahead. We got Hegseth.
Hey, I just saw. I know we got to get to. I just saw a fleet of UPS electric delivery trucks.
Oh yeah,
plugging in. They have like a parking lot where they have to go plug in and recharge. And you go to the end of the parking lot, and you know what's generating that power is a diesel generator.
This is what a lot of people say. Michael Moore produced that movie Planet of the Humans.
Planet of the Humans, the Green Music Festival in Vermont, and they had the fucking generators of power.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right. So the first of the Trump nominees went before the firing squad, Mr. Hegseth. It was quite a rambunctious hearing. We're going to show a few clips from it, but just an overview here from the AP. I want to point out before I even read this, so I looked at 3 different articles and settled on this one. Even though there was quite a bit of back and forth about Israel, none of them mentioned that. None of them talk about it. Every article I looked at wants to talk about the sexual questions and DEI. Not a word about that.
Well, same thing. You know, Pam Bondi had her hearings today. I've seen countless clips of Democrats barking at her about the 2020 election denial and stuff like that. Not a single one of her saying she wants to sick the FBI on pro-Palestine protesters.
Of course not. From
from
either party, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Pete Hegseth, President-elect Donald Trump's pick for defense secretary, publicly faced senators for the first time after weeks of questions from Democrats and praise from Republicans about his unconventional resume. Hegseth, a combat veteran and former TV news host, says he will be a change agent and a warrior as Republicans demand new and strong leadership at the Pentagon. Democrats say Hegseth's lack of experience running a huge department, his past comments about women and black troops, and allegations of excessive drinking and sexual misconduct make him unfit to serve. Senate Armed Services Committee Chairman Senator Roger Wicker, Republican of Mississippi, called Hegseth's nomination unconventional, but compared him to Trump, saying that may be just what makes him an excellent choice. Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed, the committee's top Democrat, said Hegseth lacks, quote, the character and the competence to lead the Yes.
So really, he lacks confidence.
Well, come on. I mean, say what you will about the Sullivan Lloyd team. They were on top of it. If your objective is to bring us to the brink of World War III and cost hundreds of thousands of lives, destroy families, light the world on fire, those guys were a crackerjack team.
Okay. I mean, he's no heck of a job brownie.
Yeah. Heck of a job. Heck of a job. Generation of Ukrainian men wiped out.
Wiped out.
He lacks the character and the competence to lead the Defense Department. Reed said he has voted to confirm the 9 previous defense secretaries, including in Trump's first term, but will not support Hegseth. Now, look, I've got critiques of Hegseth. I think he's a Zionist maniac, but that's not the issue these people have. That's not their issue. Their issue, the fact that you approved the previous 9, that's not something I would brag about.
Right.
Like, what's the issue with him? You thought Lloyd Austin was a good idea, so this guy should just sail right through that. But obviously their issues are not the real issues. Reed said he wants Hegseth to explain why DEI efforts make the military weak and, quote, how you propose to undo that without undermining military leadership and harming readiness, recruitment, and retention. Hegseth said the military was, hey, look, I believe we actually did a piece about the 2 mommies ad that they did for military recruitment.
Yes.
And it's funny how all these things run in parallel. It's very much like how they tried to turn all these action franchises into girl brands.
Yes.
Girls aren't into that. I'm sorry. Yeah, the guy who's going to go and hump gear in the middle of the desert, it's generally not the liberal girl with 2 moms. There are exceptions where that person can be used in the military. They should be welcome. But to focus your recruiting on that is insane. That's just not the type of person that joins the military. It just fucking isn't. It doesn't matter what you do to try to promote that to that audience. They're not interested. Most of them.
If there's anything this election cycle taught us, is that women should not be in the Secret Service.
Yeah.
There's a place.
Hey, look, man.
There's a reason why 95% of bricklayers are men. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sewer workers are men.
Right. And they always want to point out outliers. And sure, there are outliers, man.
Right.
When I was in college, when I was learning, I wanted to know how to do set design. Because I knew I was going to wind up doing my own stuff. So the woman that taught me technical drawing and drafting, that woman was built like Mean Joe Green. Like, she was enormous, man. Like, yeah, I bet she could have been a firefighter. That's a rare case. It's a very rare case. It's not the way to bet. Yes, if that woman wanted to join the military and could pass all the tests, sure. Right. And there are places in the military that are not as physically demanding. Doug McGregor, we had him on the other day, he said women make better pilots. He said they have better hand-eye coordination. So, okay.
Really?
That's what he said. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's not talking about Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
No. No, he actually brought up, he geeked out a little bit. He brought up Starship Troopers. And he said they were right, because if you looked at where the women were positioned in the military in that movie, they were the pilots. And that's actually accurate because they make better pilots than men. They have better hand-eye coordination. That's what he said. Excess said the military was a forerunner in courageous racial integration in ways no other institutions were willing to do, but argued that modern diversity and inclusion policies divide troops and didn't prioritize meritocracy. I would not disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean that's all. I mean,
I mean the military was very trailblazing.
Yes.
In that way for its time. But
I think they still pushed meritocracy, and you don't have to lower your standards to include people in marginalized communities. You don't have to do that. And
it's an inherent.
Go ahead.
DEI is inherently divisive, and that's its intention.
Yes,
that's its intention.
Exactly
it's
right.
a big grift. It's not about advancing those groups. We had a model for that.
When Trump was confronted at the Black Journalists of America thing, when he was questioned about, hey, why do you call Kamala Harris a DEI hire? And what he should have said back was, do you have a problem with people being DEI hires? And if you do, if you don't, why do you see that as an insult?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point.
You guys support it, right? You support DEI and DEI hires. Are you saying DEI hires are inherently not as good as? So that's what he should have said. He should have turned it right back on them. But everybody knows that DEI hires you're lowering the standards to do that. You don't have to lower standards to include minorities in your projects.
Hey, I was being polite. Willie told me she could suck the chrome off a trailer hitch. I was being nice. Hegseth made overtures to women and black troops, an attempt to blunt some of the criticism of his previous comments that women should straight up not serve in combat, and his suggestions that some black troops may not be qualified. Now, I don't know the quote in question regarding that. As far as women serving in combat, and this seems to be what he says. If you can pass the tests, okay, but there shouldn't be any. Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. If you can pass the test, sure, go ahead.
That's it. You don't lower the standards, I don't have any problem. The reason why I always thought they didn't have women serve in combat roles was because then they made them extra vulnerable to being prisoners of war, and they could be raped and things like that.
There's that, and there is. I haven't had the time to delve into it. There have been some articles floating around in response to this hearings, citing studies saying that all same-sex units perform better. I can't comment. I haven't delved into it. I could see how it could be distracting to have women and men serving in combat units and intimate situations.
You can't have
and quarters.
You need a certain kind of warrior, right? And they're gonna be rough around the edges. You can't have a bunch of fucking Phil Donahues fighting your wars for you.
Exactly. And that's, you look at a lot of what the liberal vision is. That we actually had it in our top 10 worst propaganda of the year. The Guys for Harris commercial that they did.
Oh yeah,
I'm a man. They tried to sell that. Tim Waltz. This is a different kind of masculinity. This is a different kind of cool guy. You're not selling that. You're not selling that. You're selling that to some very castrated, low T guys. You're not selling that to most guys, and frankly, you're not selling that to most women, man. I used to, when Mad About You was on, I used to say, yeah, in real life, she'd be fucking the mechanic. Okay.
I don't know why all these groups are itching to join as combat veterans anyway. Like, I don't understand it. Like, to me, it's like if I were gay and they said, well, gay people aren't allowed in the military, I'd be like, all right, well, that's fine.
Ooh, they dodged the bullet.
It really sucks. Really sucks that I can't. I would like to go and get my arms blown off for no reason, but I guess you just won't allow me to. That's a pity.
All right. So where were we?
Excess with question.
New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat, told Hegseth that his quotes about women are terrible and harmful to morale. Quote, "You will have to change how you see women to do this job," she said. A senior defense official who wasn't authorized to talk with the media and spoke on the condition of anonymity said the standards for military service haven't been lowered and are based on each field and ability, not gender. Like I said, I can't speak to that. I haven't had time to deep dive into this. Hegseth was questioned about the issue by Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, an Iraq veteran and survivor of sexual assault. Hegseth reiterated an earlier promise to Ernst that he will hire a senior official to prioritize those cases in the military. Quote, "You will have to..." Oh, a senior defense official who was... Oh, hang on. Did I... Yeah, sorry, I duplicated that. Hegseth did not directly address the allegations of sexual misconduct and aggressively pushed back on Democrats who asked questions about it, calling it a coordinated smear campaign. "I'm not a perfect person, but redemption is real," Hegseth said. In 2017, a woman told police that Hegseth sexually assaulted her, according to a detailed investigative report recently made public. Hegseth has denied any wrongdoing and told police at the time that the encounter at a Republican women's event in California was consensual. He was not charged, but paid the woman a confidential settlement to head off a potential lawsuit.
As anybody who wanted a career would have fucking done. And if you look into that story, I mean, it's easy to just throw a couple headlines around, but if you look into that story, it's hard to not come down on Hegseth's side.
From what I've seen of it, there's certainly not enough there for you to say, oh, yeah, he did that. You know, sometimes with these stories, you're like, yeah, he did that. But, yeah, no, it doesn't. It certainly doesn't rise to the level that it should be an issue in his confirmation. I would agree with that. Asked by Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono, a Democrat, if he had entered into a settlement, Hegseth replied that he was falsely accused. He has said repeatedly that he was completely cleared. Hirono also asked him about... I mean,
Bill Clinton gave Paula Jones $800,000.
Yeah.
Well, and then we get George Stephanopoulos saying George Clinton has passed the character test. Where did he take that test? On Epstein Island?
Well, on that level, it goes without saying the Democrats still put Bill Clinton on stage. They still platform him. They still platform him. It's unquestioned that he's a serial molester. Nobody seriously denies that. And they would deny that he's a rapist. I don't think any reasonable person would. I believe Juanita Broderick.
Me too.
But even if you don't believe that, the fact that he's a serial assaulter of women is really beyond reasonable doubt at this point. But you keep putting him on stage at the DNC. So, you know, they're self-righteous when they want to be. Hirono also asked him about reports of excessive drinking. Hegseth has told Republican senators in meetings over the last month that he will not drink on the job. Republicans, I love that he didn't say I've got my chip or anything. He's just like, not when I'm working. Republicans dismissed the allegations. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican Oklahoma, noted that Democratic senators had asked Hegseth about his drinking, saying, how many senators have showed up drunk to vote at Don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have, Mullen said to his colleagues. I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true. Did you see that story in Australia where the cameras caught the two MPs having sex like on the floor when everyone was gone.
No.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, like late at night. This is a while ago. It's like a year ago. Okay, so hey, yeah, those are the bullshit issues, which not surprisingly is what they got into. Michael Tracy here rightly says, Pete Hegseth is an end times fanatic, a former professional Iraq war lobbyist, called for bombing North Korea and Iran, demanded secret weapons shipments to Ukraine, and the list goes on.
Go. There you go.
But of course, Senate Dems focus on women in combat.
There you go.
And frivolous personal peccadillos.
And that's why they're a failed fucking party.
It is because you want to ask real questions from a left perspective, or even just from a good government perspective. There's plenty there, as we're going to see.
You know, it's like I say in my act. It's like, you know, the part that's just proof right there that the parties agree on the worst things.
Of course. That's why they only want to litigate identity. The Republicans did it too. They kept wanting to talk about Jesus.
It's like it's like if your parents were divorced, but they both agreed you should go to military school.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So here's Hegseth. Now this, and as I said, this did come up, and we'll see a little clip where Zionist came up. The articles don't even mention it. You'd think that's kind of significant, especially now, right?
If you open up your Bible, God granted Abraham this land. The 12 tribes of Israel established the constitutional monarchy 1000 BC. King David was their second king and established Jerusalem as the capital. Jews were fighting foreign occupiers for centuries, ultimately maintaining a presence there. But the key aspect, and right now, Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims are trying to erase the Jewish ties to Jerusalem as we speak. I've been there multiple times. They're trying to make it look like Jews were never there. The most important aspect of this is the international community granted sovereignty to the Jews, to the Jewish state after World War II, and Israel has had to fight defensive war after defensive war with every country coming to crush it ever since then just to exist.
All right, so this guy
God told me I could fuck whoever I want, so I do. Got a problem with it? Read the Bible. Open up your Bible. Yeah.
If Jesus didn't want you drunk, why'd he keep turning the water into wine?
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be a little more concerned about that than unproven sexual allegations. And the idea,
but they agree with them on that. That's the thing. They agree on all the horrible shit, which is why they ended up. It took them so long to impeach Donald Trump because they had to find a crime that they also weren't complicit in.
Right.
They would never pause a shipment of fucking arms to Ukraine. That's what they impeached him on. The one thing that makes it that you like about Trump, turns out it's an impeachable offense.
Well, that's it. That's why they're going after Hegseth. It's the same thing with economics. It's the same thing across the board. They can only litigate identity. But it's the Republicans, too. The Republicans, their version of that is they kept wanting to talk about Jesus.
Right.
They kept wanting to talk about his relationship to Christ. How does that... Can you imagine if a Hindu went on the floor in a confirmation hearing and started going on about I really appreciate your devotion to Krishna and Krishna consciousness. Can you imagine if a bunch of senators conducted a confirmation hearing that way? Can you imagine if somebody was standing for confirmation who had screamed about the Islam taking over the world? He's screaming this insane biblical prophecy stuff. He should not even be nominated for defense secretary. He should not even be in that position. Not because of his views on DEI or he likes to tie one on, because of his stated views on one of our most important foreign policy entanglements.
But, just as Greenwald had pointed out when he nominated Marco Rubio, that, these are people who Trump is going to direct to employ his foreign policy. They're going to have to serve Donald Trump. And as we've just witnessed in Israel Palestine, his views trump everybody. It's including Huckabee, including Hegseth, including I don't see this. Why I find it repugnant. I don't find it disqualifying.
A lot of presidents have been very surprised when they become president at how much the people they appoint actually run the government and how shut out of the day-to-day decision making they really are. It's an enormous bureaucracy. Who you appoint is policy. That is policy, because you can't micromanage an enormous federal bureaucracy.
Yeah, there's that saying, personnel.
You can't constantly be pulling leashes and putting out fires and trying to. If you appoint a bunch of people with these kind of fanatically rabid pro-Israel views, that is going to be reflected in the way the State Department is run on a day-to-day level, in the way the FBI does its job. You're only one person as the president. You can't micromanage all that. Now, will Trump maybe make some big moves like he did here that in some way contradict that? Sure. But the overall drift of the foreign policy is naturally going to be fanatically Zionist, because he put fanatical Zionists in every job, every single job. All right. So speaking of, a little exchange here with Tom Cotton, and Patrick Henningsen here says, since when did White House cabinet confirmation hearings become a religious extremist Zionist struggle session? When did our government officially become Israel first?
A Christian Zionist. I'm not really sure why that is a bad thing. I'm a Christian. I'm a Zionist. Zionism is that the Jewish people deserve a homeland in the ancient Holy Land where they've lived since the dawn of history. Do you consider yourself a Christian Zionist?
Senator, I am a Christian, and I robustly support the state of Israel and its existential defense, and the way America comes alongside them is a great ally.
Thank you. Because another protest.
All right, so jerk off. I'll send you some of the Facebook ads that they won't stop showing me no matter what I do, of the Israelis whoring out their daughters who are in the IDF, and they put out videos of them dancing in very sexual ways in their army uniforms to make everyone forget about the genocide, because they want to fuck the Israeli women so much. And these women look about as Middle Eastern as Bond girls from the 60s. Okay, they all look very Russian, very Eastern European. They look like Polish people with a tan. So whatever you think about Jews having been in that region for all that, those are not those Jews. Okay, these are Eastern Europeans who have moved into that region. And if you're going to base that argument on people who have been there, you got a lot of people who have been there. The Persians were there. The Romans were there. The Greeks were there. So, everybody can, maybe the UN should set up a court and they should divide it between everyone who spent a few centuries in that region.
Nice try, buddy. I banged all those broads. They all said they got bloodline going back 2,000 years.
Yeah. We did a segment about it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Like, what does it say about your culture that that's your idea of how to cover up a genocide? To send out videos of 18-year-old girls while the genocide is going on in full army gear dancing like strippers. All right. So this was probably the most damning clip that I've seen, because a lot of the argument is, these guys might be Zionist maniacs, but they're going to clean up government. Okay. So again, from Michael Tracy, one of the few useful questions asked at the Pete Hegseth hearing. Despite advocating that generals be barred from working in the defense industry for 10 years after they retire, Hegseth, upon questioning from Senator Warren, refuses to commit to the same standard for himself.
Mr. Hegseth, you have written that after they retire, generals should be banned from working for the defense industry for 10 years. You and I agree. on the corrosive effects of the revolving door between the Pentagon and defense contractors. It's something I would have liked to talk with you about if you'd come and been willing to visit with me. But the question I have for you on this is, will you put your money where your mouth is and agree that when you leave this job, you will not work for the defense industry for 10 years?
Senator, it's not even a question I've thought about because
You can
it's
think
not
about
one
it right
that,
now.
It's not one. My motivation for this job
I understand
has never
that. I
been
just
about
need
what
a
could
yes or no
conceivably
here.
come next.
Time is short. I just need a yes or no.
I would consult with the president about what the policy should be
In
at the Defense
other
Department.
words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. But you're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one, let us just be clear, in charge of the generals. So you're saying sauce for the goose, but certainly not sauce for the gander?
I would want to see what the policy of the
Oh,
president is.
I'll bet you will.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
So they're laughing at him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
they're
that's
not-
an actual question.
Yeah, there's a real question. So that, to me, that would be the worst moment for Hegseth at the hearing for me.
Of what I've seen, absolutely, because it was substantive.
Yeah.
The rest of this is a circus. It's a circus. That's a real question. And
so
hey, he's telling you who he is.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
really? This is your proposal, and you never thought about whether it applies to you? Really? You haven't
So-
thought about it.
It really, it's like, dude, how the fuck can you come out so strongly against generals and then you're going to go, yeah, but I'm going to do it. It's like, you son of a bitch. So anyway, and I bet he will. And I bet he will.
He even lost a Zionist on this.
Oh, really?
Little Star of David here. Lisa Liberty. This really doesn't seem like it should have been so difficult for him to give a straight yes or no answer to. Holy snikes. How am I on Elizabeth
know.
Warren's side on something?
Why wouldn't he just lie? Why wouldn't he go, yeah?
Honestly, I was thinking the same thing. Like, why would you just say yes? And then later on, you can you could just pull a Bill Clinton.
That's right.
Well, there were adjustments made in this bill that
That's right.
cleared
Right,
up the
right.
problems with it, and
Yeah.
just do
Like
that.
that.
Just do what Tulsi just did with 702. Oh, they fixed the problems. It's okay now.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Dude, that's exactly. That doesn't give me confidence that he can think on his feet.
Yeah, look, is he unqualified? I hesitate to go down that road because look what we just talked about. They sent some New York real estate scumbag out to Israel, and he got more done than all
Right.
these
Than all the
professionals
diplomats, right.
did in years. So I'm hesitant to say he's by definition unqualified because he doesn't have experience. I certainly would not support him just because he's a Zionist maniac who has literally said they should build the third temple on the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
Like anyone who believes that would precipitate World War III. As bought off as the Muslim nations that didn't come to help the Palestinians might be, that's the line, man. That is the line. If you went and blew up the Al-Aqsa Mosque, that would be World War III. They could. There's not enough money to buy them off for that.
Okay. So
all
I
right.
think that was a real mask off moment for Hegseth there.
Right. Well, that's the only real argument they have. We're going to clean this up. And now you just said you're not going to clean it up.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep that door open, well, then you're going to serve these people who are going to give you those jobs and opportunities when you get out. You're telling us that right now. So what's going to be different? You're going to move money around. This is what I keep saying regarding Doge and the Defense Department. They're not going to cut any of the budget. They're going to redirect it to their friends.
Yeah.
You're going to have tech companies expanding their presence in in defense contracting, and the traditional defense contractors like Boeing, Northrop Grumman are going to get a smaller piece of the pie. And you're going to have companies like Tesla developing drone swarms
Well, that's
for the
exactly.
government.
Exactly. That's what I said. You can't have a military contractor cutting the military budget. That's not how you can't have Chris Christie in charge of shrinking the buffet.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
All right.
You want to do some super chats? We'll do our last segment.
Well, don't you want to do we got one more short one with Hegseth. We got the Jag-off.
Oh, let's do it.
Oh, see, I
forget
told you
the
to
Jag-off.
remind me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so apparently it's not that surprising. Hegseth has been watching the Jimmy Dore Show, and he knows exactly what a Jag-off is, and he explains it here in Congress.
Lawful authority. You have made statements to your platoon after being briefed by a JAG officer. Oh, by the way, would you explain what a JAG-off is?
I don't think I need to, sir,
Why not?
because the men and women watching understand.
What is a
Well,
jag off?
perhaps some of my colleagues don't understand.
Stop it there.
It would be a JAG officer who puts
He's a
fighters.
What is it? Can you tell me what a jag off is? Hey, could you tell me what a douche nozzle is exactly? and what kind of what kind of thread do you use in that? Do you use any plumber's tape on a douche nozzle?
Here one more time.
To your
This is getting to
platoon
the
after
important
being
stuff here.
briefed by a JAG officer. Oh, by the way, would you explain what a JAG-off is?
I don't think I need to, sir,
Why not?
because the men and women watching understand.
Well, perhaps some of my colleagues don't understand.
It would be a JAG officer who puts his or her own priorities in front of the warfighters. Their promotions, their medals, in front of having the backs of those who are making the tough calls on the front lines.
Thank you, Senator Reid.
Interesting.
Thank you
very much.
Senator Fisher.
Thank you, Mr.
You'll find the answer to what a jag-off is at x.com/Jimmy_Dore.
Yeah, there you go.
There's like a lost scene from Stripes.
Can you tell me what a jag-off? Can you tell me what a ball liquor is? What is a ball liquor? And what is a brown noser? Can you tell me what happens?
Yeah. How do you get that nose so brown? What do you have to do? What are you trying to say? What was the idea? So he must have been, it seems like he answered, what did he call someone a jag-off who was a jag-off? Because he seems to be describing a bad guy.
What a jag-off is?
What is a jag-off?
I don't think I need to, sir.
Why not?
I mean, this is really like one of those 70s comedies.
Yeah, it's like a skit. It's
very Animal House.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
Can you tell me what is a rim job?
It is reported here that you requested a Dirty Sanchez.
Yeah, what is that? What is
Can you draw a diagram on the whiteboard here of what that would entail?
Colleagues don't understand.
It would be a JAG officer who puts his or her own priorities in front of the warfighters.
So he's describing a bad soldier, right? So what, did he insult somebody at one point? Like, I don't even know what that's about.
I mean, I guess he must have called someone a jag-off. I remember a jag, isn't that the lawyers? Isn't that the lawyers
yes,
in the
a
military?
JAG officer, JAG.
Yeah.
So there used to be a show on CBS called
JAG. Yeah.
Right.
And
Ron DeSantis was a jag, right?
He
was a jag-off.
He was.
He was a jag-off for a long time.
My favorite promo ever was they counted on him. It was some. I'm going to try and remember. They counted on him supporting them, but what they didn't count on was a dedicated JAG officer. You got to be kidding me! Did I write this promo? It was fucking hilarious. So that's what that always fun JAG officer. It's a
JAG, yeah.
Yeah. So JAG, right. I think it's called for. It's got to be jurist or something. Let me ask.
Well, you know, those are the guys who are supposed to. Those are the guys who are supposed to prosecute when you sexually assault the trainees or give a blanket beating to a recruit. So right. they must hate them.
A judge advocate general.
Yeah, judge advocate general.
A JAG officer.
A legal office within a military branch.
Yeah, okay. The JAG Corps. There's a JAG Corps.
What is a JAG Corps?
Could you tell me, have you ever jagged your core?
Yeah, right, yeah.
That was my favorite clip of the whole hearing.
There you go.
For obvious reasons. Thanks for playing that.
Yeah, glad we got that.
Of course.
Beautiful. Let's see here. What else we got here? Well, Russ will be coming down for the Atlantic City show in April. Roy the Goy has a ticket. Oh, I remember Roy the Goy. And Russell really should be there to defend himself. Of course, Keaton is indefensible. I'll be at the co-host ticket. I'll be at the co-host show, which is, I think, the next day, right? Is that the next day after?
Yeah, I might, because I've never been to Atlantic City. I'm a little curious.
Yeah, it's weird. You've never been.
Really?
Well, this is another Atlantic City question from South Jersey guy. Jimmy, my premium ticket for Atlantic City gig in April notes that the show begins at 8 p.m. What's the earliest guests will be admitted to the venue, and can you tell us about the meet and greet?
You know what? Sometimes we do meet and greets before the show. Sometimes we do them after. That feels like we might be doing it. If it's an 8 p.m. show, we might be doing the meet and greet before. But if it's only one show, we could possibly do it after. So I don't know. Every show is a little different. I'd have to look into the. I'm sorry, Senator. I'd have to look at the Pacific.
I'd have to look into it. Yeah. Automation says Otacon is more efficient. Are we obligated to keep those people around? It's not like the Chinese are abandoning automation. At what point are we just quadrupling down on being lazy and uncompetitive? Well,
I don't think that. I think that's the opposite of being lazy, because then they have to do the job manually.
Right.
It reminds me of when Ben Shapiro said, "Hey, what do you think to Tucker Carlson? What do you think about self-driving trucks?"
Self-driving trucks.
And Tucker Carlson said, "I would ban them." He said it's the number one profession for high school educated men in this country,
Right.
and unless you're willing to find a couple of million new jobs, I would. So, but they're doing it in another way. Joe Biden on his way out the door, he's signing the visas for foreigners to come in and drive trucks, which is all about driving so they're figuring out a way to fuck over American truck drivers anyway. But I'm with Tucker on that. And Ben Shapiro's mind was blown. He's like, what about it? Capitalism. He goes, yeah, capitalism is a great theory. It's a great economic system, but it's not a religion. Right. And if it doesn't serve your constituency, you change it. And I'm with them on that.
Yep. No, I remember that clip very well. Have you guys watched Jones Plantation yet? I have not. Thanks, Van Tickets Pre-May.
Severance is coming back. Severance is coming back. Severance is coming back. Very exciting.
The last episode of that first season of Severance was one of the greatest episodes of TV ever. You gotta see.
What is
Severance? It's the show. Ben Stiller actually directed almost all the episodes. You would love it, Russell. It's
Friend
about
of the show.
It's the best show ever on television, maybe.
I love. See, the thing about Severance was I wasn't like in. How would you describe the plot?
So I'll describe it like this. So these people, they work for a large corporation, and they've decided to voluntarily have their brains severed from when they go to work to when they're back in real life.
Right. Oh, that's so up my alley. How did I miss that?
So when they're at work, they don't have any knowledge of what their real life is like at outside of work. And when they're in their real life or outside of work, they have no idea what their life is. So it's called Severance.
What's it on?
It was on Apple, actually, yeah. And so some of them know each other outside of work, but they don't know how they relate to each other in work.
Right.
Yeah. And it gets really dark and crazy. And the thing about Severance was I liked the show leading up to the final episode. There were some slow episodes. I didn't love every episode, but it all leads up to that last episode. It all builds to that last episode. And the last episode is so great. It's so suspenseful and tense with parallel timelines and parallel consciousness. That last episode of that show was amazing. One of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You would love it, Russell. You would absolutely love it.
Yeah, that sounds very much like my kind of thing.
And Christopher Walken's in it. So
and he's in it too.
Is he?
Yes, you get a bonus. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, no, Severance is terrific.
Okay.
What do we got? Please turn on the pause and fast forward buttons. Well, you can't fast forward. It's a live stream.
Yeah,
you can't fast forward into the future.
And the reason why you're not allowed to pause or rewind, it's because we make the live stream available to our premium members as part of their premium perks. So you have to catch the show live, and if you don't, become a premium member, and then you can pause the fuck out of it and rewind it all you want.
There you go. That's what I do when I'm a premium member. When I watch the show on premium, I don't even watch it. I just pause it. because I'm able to pause it. It's like I paid for the benefit of pausing, so I'll pick a random point, I'll pause, and then I'll rewind just because I can. I don't even watch. I just pause and rewind the whole thing. Hamhawk says, "Hey Jimmy, looks like you moved just in time, but we're not getting bombed by the IDF. So thankful for that. Well, good luck to our Angelino. Oh yeah, Hamhawk, you said you lost your house, Hamhawk. Actually, from our chat, I remember.
Wow,
that.
condolences.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's brutal there for sure. At what point will human beings, says Hannah Zer,
Can I just say, when I was on my vacation, this all happened, and I sent you the video from my mother-in-law's backyard in Pasadena. I'm like, oh my God, my mother-in-law's going to have to move in because her house is going up, and houses did go up around in Pasadena. And then there was fire. And there was like 2 nights in a row I didn't sleep on my vacation. Wow. I'm fucking on Twitter.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I was not in a good way, but anyway.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, it's we've heard stories from people in our chats and everything. It's incredible. I mean, it's a horrible. The scale of it is just unfathomable, I think. At what point, says Hannah, will human beings stop being required to kill themselves to keep up with machines, and we realize mindless productivity and competition is not what our lives are supposed to be?
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
30 milligrams. Jimmy or Keaton and Russell, please have Tim Dillon on one of your shows. He quoted Jimmy not too long ago. Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? I think Tim Dillon's hilarious.
Yeah.